Galimera, 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 and let's start again. Galimera, Galimera, Galimera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How the devil are we all today? Well, as you can see, I'm back on the tablet. I went yesterday to see the old boys there at Tech Box. If you've got any computer problems, go see the guys at Tech Box down in town, in Zakynthos. They do a fantastic job in sorting stuff out, and that's why I'm back on there. Yeah, that's Mr. Norris down there making all the noise this morning. But anyway, as you can see, the weather today is absolutely horrendous. We got red alert warnings yesterday. Can I thank Amanda for her concise weather forecast? She says, morning, Ginge. We're on red alert. Yes, for strong winds, which we've had all night. Also be aware that it's likely to be flash floods and landslides as well. And as you can see, the wind is blowing at the moment. If it wasn't for the fact there's still a ferry strike on, the ferries would probably be in port, which they are at the moment, simply because they're on strike, nothing to do with the weather. Yeah, it is pretty horrendous today, although it has stopped raining at the moment. And as you can see, the trees are blowing about. I'm going to be doing the broadcast from inside. Yeah, there you go. That is the weather at the moment. And the chickens are a bit upset with it as well. They've been hiding. But anyway, there you go. That's the weather for today. Thank you to Amanda. Big shout out to Steve Hinkling, Andy Owen as well, also tuning in. Going to do the broadcast from inside the house. Again, as always, a lot to tell you about what's been going on in the last 24 hours. So let's just quickly switch the screen round. And I've realised I cannot see where my little... there they are. There it is. Right, good morning to Heather Nash. Good morning. I hope the storm doesn't get too bad. Stay safe, both of you. I think the storm is the least of our problems at the moment with everything that's going on here in Greece. But again, it's something else that we don't actually need just to compound the situation. Oh, and by the way, the temperature today is 15, but it's going to feel like 10. Right, okay, let's have a quick look at COVID in the last 24 hours here in Greece. I've got to be honest, the numbers are going down, which is good. Yesterday, I reported to you 5,523. The day before that, I reported to you 5,899. Well, today, I can report 5,087 new cases of COVID across Greece. That brings a total at the moment up to 994,901. 12 new cases were detected, entries into the country. That was up on the day before where there were 2 cases. But when it comes to the Omicron variant at the moment, which is all the rage in the UK at the moment, guess what? 3 confirmed cases still of the Omicron. So again, that in some ways is a good thing, all right, because the hysteria at the moment in the UK over Omicron, I will get onto that, just seems to be getting worse and worse. Anyway, according to the national stats about infection rates on the islands, that's also looking interesting as well. Macardo, yesterday I reported that they had 4 new infections on the island. Well, today I can report they've had 14 new infections. Their island is in the green. Corfu, yesterday I reported they had 91 new infections on the island. Well, today I can report that they've had 47 new infections on their island. They are still in dark red. The prefecture of Kefalonia, they had 10 new cases reported on their island. I can report now that they've had 14 new infections reported there. They are in the yellow. As for Zakynthos, remember yesterday I said about Zakynthos's figures that they were publishing were wrong yesterday. Well, that was 15 cases yesterday, not the 9 as reported in the public press here. And today I can report that they've had 10 new cases reported here on the island. And at the moment, Zakynthos is in amber. So again, don't forget on Monday, I will give you the week stats of the figures of infections on the islands. And we can do a quick comparison of how the figures are running at the moment in the Ionian. Right, when it comes to deaths at the moment, I've got to be honest, the death rate actually has gone up quite significantly in the last 24 hours. You might remember we had 2 days of deaths at 81. Well, anyway, now today I can report that the death rate has gone up to 103 new deaths across the country. That brings the death toll at the moment up to 19,085. Once again, 95% of those people had underlying diseases or were over the age of 70. As of now, there has still not been any deaths associated with the Omicron mutation. So again, let's get that clear. Omicron at the moment is not killing anybody here in Greece. So those people who've passed from COVID, it is because of the Delta variant probably at the moment. And again, our sincere condolences to those families that are affected as well at this time. When it comes to ICUs at the moment, interestingly, with the ICUs, the number of beds has actually gone down. Yep. Yesterday, I reported to you there were 708 people in ICUs across the country. The day before that, it was 709. And the day before that, it was 697. So people in ICUs, it's that again, that number's been going up and down, but not by much. And today I can report that there are 702 critical cases in ICUs across the country. Official cases in hospitals at the moment, of that 702, 413 are male, 289 are female. The average age of those people in ICUs in incubation is 64 years of age. 79% of those have underlying health issues or are over the age of 70. Now, regarding the vaccination status of those critical patients, 566 of them are unvaccinated or partially vaccinated, and 136 are fully vaccinated. And once again, just a reminder, the Greek government still hasn't said what they're classing as partially vaccinated. Whether you've had your 2 jabs and not had the booster, does that put you in the partially vaccinated, or are you then still technically classed as fully vaccinated? Again, that hasn't been explained. And again, you feel massaging of figures when those sort of things are not revealed, because again, they're trying to encourage people to go and have the vaccination if you're over the age of 60. Right, now a quick snapshot of the UK COVID situation. And I've got to be honest, at the moment, the press rhetoric on this is like it was the lockdown the year before, where it was just hyped to such an extent. It seems that this hasn't stopped at the moment when you start reading certain newspapers, who shall remain nameless. The numbers are being exaggerated when you look at the actual stats in relation to them. So first of all, this is the kind of madness at the moment that the press in the UK are pushing. They seem to have forgotten about Boris at the moment for just a little bit. The Department of Health figures, they say, show London's infections rate is rising at its fastest rate in 5 months. They also got lines like, and infections are ticking up in every borough of the capital. Each has at least one suspected Omicron case. And then there's other headlines like, public health chiefs say they are taking the situation extremely seriously on the ground. And then they said this one, but be warned, Omicron could lead to become dominant in weeks in Scotland. It could be dominant in 10 days. And already Madam Cranky's telling the Scots to cancel their parties already. And how many cases at the moment have been actually attributed to Omicron? Well, to be honest, at the moment, it's 1,265 for a population of 60 million. Yesterday, it was 817, and the day before that, it was 437, and the day before that, it was 336. Let's get this clear. Omicron is not killing anybody. It's not been reported it's killing anybody. It certainly might be more infectious, but its symptoms are milder. It's a runny nose, supposedly. It's a bit of a sore head. And a lot of people say, well, it sounds a bit like a hangover, really. But again, at the end of the day, you might get infected with it. But a lot of people, their systems are fighting it anyway. So at the moment, the numbers do not justify the rhetoric that the press are actually sticking out at the moment. And the problem is that as all of the governments seem to be pushing the Omicron at the moment. Again, as you know, here in Greece, they're pushing the Omicron for the fact there's only been 3 cases that have been identified. And that is within the last week or so now. And the cases still haven't gone up, or either that they're not telling us, one of the two. But I think the point is the Omicron here hasn't really started to affect in the way that they're talking about it everywhere else. And it's like they're wishing it to be there. They're making it worse, especially the press and the media at the moment. Right, let's have a look at today's news stories here in Greece. And I've also got quite a few news stories for here in Zakynthos as well. Anyway, an Orthodox bishop has banned the priests of his diocese from expressing any support for non-vaccination, saying his patience has been exhausted as regards the issue. Now, I had to say this, in an encyclical issued to clerics on Friday, the Archbishop of Igonos of Dimatra, who's based in Volos, said that the unacceptable attitude of some fellow believers had caused enormous damage to our believers. From now on, we strictly prohibit any reference to the COVID disease and non-vaccination, whether in sermons or otherwise, including in the context of hearing confessions from personnel and communications with your parishioners, he told his clergy. So it means if you go into confession to confess your sins, which is supposed to be in like as far as I'm aware, in the Catholic Church, it's between you and the priest. You're not even allowed to talk about it in a confessional box. Oh, Father, I have sinned. I went out when I shouldn't have gone out. Or, Father, I haven't had my vaccination at the moment. You know what? This is when it's going to the extreme at the moment here in Greece. Anyway, he said he would not hesitate to impose sanctions on priests that disobey his orders, starting with a ban on them administering blessings and hearing confession. He also said he would commence examining on any case-by-case basis those priests who remain unvaccinated. And can I just remind you here of Zakynthos, the Archbishop here. He had actually suspended 14 priests who refused to be vaccinated, mandatory vaccinated probably as well. At the end of the day, still no word about how many of these priests had caved in and actually had the vaccination or not, or whether they are still unvaccinated. One of those 14 I know was under a kind of serious suspension, while the others were given till I think it was the 3rd of December to go and get the vaccine. And the Archbishop here put out an edict telling them that he would hear confessions from those priests. However, at the end of the day, still no word on the actual numbers of the priests here on Zakynthos that actually have gone and got jabbed. I'll be interested to know some of the reasons why some of these priests don't want to have the vaccine. It would interest me. It really would. Anyway, another story at the moment concerning ICUs here in Greece. A leading ICU doctor said on Friday that there is nothing more offensive for a doctor and a nurse than to be accused of choosing one patient over the other, following allegations that certain patients have been fast-tracked into intensive care. Again, you might remember just a couple of days ago, I reported a story about a priest who hadn't been vaccinated. He was then taken into the hospital. He was then put ahead of other people and put into the ICU. There were a lot of other people who were waiting their turn for them to go into the ICU. I think the main criteria about this was the fact that a court order had to be issued for that priest to be sent into an ICU to be vaccinated. But a lot of people waiting were upset by the fact that this guy, because he was a priest, had jumped the queue in effect. Anyway, Valos Bessos, the director of the ICU of Athens Naval Hospital, was speaking at an extraordinary press conference organised by the Hellenic Intensive Care Society. Anyway, patients are not selected, they are screened. The screening concerns very serious scientific criteria that have been established by the Central Health Council. They are 5 pages of criteria covering the 5 general categories of patients with a rating of 1 to 5, he said. The first category concerns patients with abnormal or unstable blood pressure who require respiratory support, while the 5th includes patients who are brain dead. In the latter case, the ICU can provide them with a more dignified death, he said, adding that neither age or social status is considered when admitting patients to an ICU. All patients requiring entries to ICUs are entered onto a waiting list, he further said. Now, he said, while the pandemic has seen an increase in the numbers of ICU beds to 1,280 in public, military and private hospitals, the problem is the lack of staff, he continued. Unfortunately, there is no specialised ICU staff. For her part, the director of the ICU of Evangelimos Hospital and the Anastasia Kotungu expressed her sadness and the disappointment at the hearing of the recent allegations about ICUs. Doctors are offended and frustrated by what has been heard lately. I think the first thing there is no mention about the sacking of doctors who or medical staff who refuse to be vaccinated or mandatory vaccinated under the auspices of this government. No mention of the fact that maybe there's a shortage of staff because you'd got rid of these staff who were quite happily working surrounded by COVID cases, also working with people with COVID probably on a daily basis with colleagues that were vaccinated. But no, you went and fired them because you felt somehow that they were a risk working there. Listen, if they're in medicine, they take risks at the end of the day. It should be your choice whether you have it or not. And you've now fired people that would have helped save other people's lives, not only here in Greece, but the same has happened in the UK. The same is happening in other countries as well, where mandatory vaccination for hospital workers, when in fact, again, it should be their choice. And again, I keep asking this, and somebody did actually point out some testing has been done as to find out why certain people, like myself, who got over it, don't want the vaccine. What is it different about our metabolisms to other people that succumb to the disease and pass away? Again, it still should be your choice. And now what's happening now, you can't find people to fill roles, to take some of the pressure off the work that they do in the ICUs with having more staff to be able to cope with the bigger amount of people that are supposedly in the ICUs at the moment. Also, again, a little bit of an interesting story, a little bit of funnier story. You might remember about the galaxy, the Guardians of the Constitution. Almost said Guardians of the Galaxy there. Anyway, it seems that 11 anti-vaxxers who styled themselves as the Guardians of the Constitution are facing criminal charges of kidnapping after they assaulted a school principal on Friday. Now, the individuals, 9 men and 2 women, also face charges of using violence against civil servants and the judicial officials, disrupting a public service, violating measures of the prevention of the disease, threatening behaviour, defamation and simple bodily harm, and violating personal data. Now, early on Friday, the group barged into the Angelos Gymnasium. For those people who don't know what a gymnasium, that is a Greek name for a school in Piraea, northern Greece. They grabbed the school principal, handcuffed him and dragged him to the local police station, claiming they had arrested him for enforcing measures against COVID-19. As soon as they arrived at the police station, the attackers were themselves detained and sent to the police security division at Katrina, while the school principal was released. Anyway, the principal later received treatment at a health clinic for abrasions to his wrists. They obviously put the cuffs on a bit too tight. Anyway, according to the information from the Ministry of Citizens Protection, 3 of the 11 people arrested have children attending that particular school that they went and arrested the principal at. The citizens arrested the principal had. Anyway, those arrested range in the age from 42 to 70. They come from various areas such as Grenada, Inthrama and Athens, and officials suspect that some of them specifically went to Angion just to carry out the arrest. Now, the thing is about these characters, you might remember I reported them in a podcast a couple of days ago. They're running around dressed like policemen. They are driving around in like police cars or cars made to look like police cars. And their approach to, if it's anti-mandatory vaccination, which I'm hoping is what their approach is, not anti-vaccination, I think their approach is totally wrong and totally not the way it should be done. Taking like their law into their own hands, and probably, it's interesting, but this group, from what I've been told, they are part of a larger group of, you might remember the Ministry of Remedies, that was the story the other day, but they are part of a larger group, and they're obviously being financed by somebody because they're all dressed in uniform, they're driving around in mock police cars, and it does make you wonder who's paying for these guys and what their ideology is, because that is not being made very clear. Trust me, I am totally 100% against mandatory vaccination, but I want it done within the realms of the law. And at the moment, as you've already heard, the law is not really being, shall we say, impartial to this. The law seems to be following what the government wants at the moment and falling into step with other nations. Interestingly, good news from the House of Lords in the UK, they've already said that mandatory vaccination would not be on the cards as far as British law is concerned. So again, that is one of the areas that I hope that some common sense may realm and make it, again, a choice thing rather than you have to go and have it, or else otherwise, as already, we're looking at fines. We're also looking at people like myself who've caught the disease, got over it, having their certificate of wellness being cut from 6 months to 3 months to hurry us to go get the vaccine and to hurry us either to pay up to the government for not complying to the rules that they have actually that they are setting out. Anyway, let's talk about Zakynthos now. The Zakynthos Municipal Water Supply and Sewage Company, better known as the DEYAZ, according to information supplied to the Hermes News, it seems money owed from a court decision of 80,000 euros to a supplier was removed from the DEYAZ's bank account. Now, the development feels a greater concern about whether the DEYAZ will be able to meet its basic obligations, such as the payment of staff salaries, which has to be done in the next few days. Now, very recently, the mayor and president of the DEYAZ, he was addressing representatives of the hoteliers and owners of the rented rooms associations, and once again described the financial collapse of the municipal company and asked them to assist in an effort to collect the debts, which amount to millions of euros. Anyway, the debts of the DEYAZ to suppliers are not the only ones that the municipal authority is called on to face at this time. Other decisions for payments also are to be processed through the municipality. One of them occupied the last meeting of the Economic Committee and concerns that not an insignificant amount of 185,000. So basically, the courts are now saying to the DEYAZ, you owe money to this supplier. And then basically what's happening is they're actually going and taking the money legally straight from the account of the DEYAZ to pay off suppliers. Anyway, the fact that the debt concerns the intervention in the long-suffering municipality stadium, this is where this 185,000 has been taken. For the stadium at Amber Lockerbie, contractor there from 2005, he caused the sensation, they say, in the hands of justice, and the lawyer for the municipality explained that the Economic Committee, a private individual in 2005, used the municipality for the installment for electric lighting in the ground and also for the installation of the football pitch there as well. But anyway, he's gone to the courts and he is now fighting to get 185,000 that he feels he's owed. and they are waiting now for an administrative decision to be taken as to whether that money will also be paid out to them. So at the moment, I've got to be honest with the mayor. You've got to remember the mayor at the moment has been in this job for just over a year and so. He's inherited a lot of this from former administrations. This was work that they should have done that hadn't been cleared up. Also, once again, I'd like to point out, don't forget, only just last week, they were ratifying the budget for 2007. So therefore, when you're here in 2021 and you're ratifying a budget for 2007, it makes you wonder if certain things should not just be cleared off the books and let's start the books again. But obviously, no. And again, I do feel that there might be a certain amount of undermining of the mayor going on here as a way to basically get him to stop poking in corners and stop looking at contracts from years past. I look at the cinema and I look at the commissions in regards seating in forecourts, etc. Again, where certain contracts given by previous administrations basically were not given in the full sense of the local law, etc. So again, it should be interesting to see how that will play out as well. Also, again, another little interesting story. Again, a very important initiative has been going on in the marina. I don't like the way they use the word green activist group. It makes them sound like they're kind of doing something bad, but they're not. A group called Yelisa, they decided that they were going to clean up the marina and get rid of all the abandoned vehicles that have been dumped there, either by the port police or basically people just taking their cars down there and leaving them because they can't get rid of them because of issues with tax and plates, etc., and hoping that somebody is just going to get rid of the vehicle because it's been dumped there. Anyway, a lot of these cars have sat there for a very, very long time. Anyway, the other day, the Yeltsa came in and they started to remove all of these vehicles, took them away, and they are now being crushed and they are going to be then sent away off the island, basically leaving the area clear. At the moment, there is still talk that there's also rotting vessels at the moment in the marina. Those vessels, be honest, are a lot more difficult to remove. A tender has been put out for the removal of those vessels, and it's hoped that at some point somebody is going to come along and actually basically remove those rotting vessels, because as they say, they are an eyesore, especially for the thousands of visitors who go to that location to get on vessels for day trip excursions when they go up to see either the turtles, or they go up to see the shipwreck, or they go round the island, seeing all these vehicles, these rotting hulks, saying it looks more like the third world when you go down there. I'm not sure if we're allowed to use that signature anymore, but again, it's good to see that people are taking the initiative and getting rid of the rubbish, as it were. Right, and finally, this kind of made me smile a little bit, but I shouldn't really. But the inauguration of the Christmas park, as they're calling it, in Solomon Square, that's been postponed now until next Tuesday, as the bad weather conditions have created delays in the installation of the toys, as they're calling them, and the equipment, obviously due to the weather. So it should have been happening today. They should have had the grand opening of this little Christmas fair down in Solomon Square, but because of the weather, it's now been moved until next Tuesday. Anyway, Mr. Rallis, who's actually operating the Christmas park, he asked that there should be no prior criticism at the end result. I've got to be honest. I can understand what's going on with them trying to create a Christmassy feeling in town that they have done in previous years. Some years they've done a fantastic job. It looks lovely. At the moment, when I was looking at it in town the other day, it looked a bit, ish. And I've got to be honest, I'm not the only person who said that. Local social media, they were saying about how it doesn't look very Christmassy. It looks more like a bit of a funfair. Again, if you think of London at the moment, where basically they've got the Winter Wonderland there, that's now turned into an annual spectacular in Hyde Park. And Mr. Rallis also said that there is 5 or 6 of these around Greece where they come off, you know, with great gusto, and people enjoy it. Also, I've got to remind you as well, this is probably the first year that the Solomon Square Christmas event, shall we call it, is not being financed in any way by the municipality. They have put no money into this. And if you remember a few weeks ago, I did cover the story about the installation of this Winter Wonderland, where they said they didn't want it to be a money grabbing cash grab for somebody to come in and run it, because they weren't going to be bailed out by the municipality. Mr. Rallis also said that even their electricity is being monitored for the consumption that they use, so that they can obviously pay for it. And there was talk about the rides being free, etc. We'll see if that happens at the end of the day. But again, we'll see how it goes. And to be honest, it's good that some form of normality is trying to come back into Christmas here, where everywhere at the moment things are being cancelled. People are pushing for closure. In like the UK, definitely at the moment, and in Scotland, well, that's another story. And Wales, they're supposedly now going to be in compulsory lockdown with their leader. Again, is Christmas going to happen as we would like it to happen? That is all to be seen. Anyway, let's have a quick look who's tuning in at the moment. I've seen some comments going up. Big shout out to my brother Simon. Nice to have you tuning in, buddy. Nice to see you looking in. Amanda Gregory, thank you for your concise weather forecast. Even Christine Coldwell in Leighton Buzzard is tuning in as well. Nice to have you looking in as well, my lovely. Chick Ballantyne, Raffridge buddy is tuning in. Andrew the Fridge Watkins is tuning in. Andy, are you actually locked down at the moment? Has that happened in your area? There was a lot of talk in the media about imposing of a lockdown in Wales. I cannot imagine that the person who's trying to impose that, I'm trying to remember his name now. Is it Drake or something, your leader? What was his name?
Mark Drakeford.
Mark Drakeford, if he's going to get away with that, because I know what you Welsh boys are like. Nobody's telling me to stay in my house over Christmas. I want to go out, I do. So again, I'll be wondering if that's happening. Barbara Teller is watching as well. Shane Bowen up there in Exmoor. Thank you for tuning in last night, buddy, to the Dance Anthem show. I really appreciate that. And he says, Gallimera Ginge, it's a bit damp here. Thanks for your great Dance Anthem show. I'm off shooting. Have a great weekend, everyone. Lots of love and laughter. Cheers for that, Shane. And watch out, watch out. Shane's about. He's out shooting the pheasants. So up there on Exmoor, bless him. I think our chickens have gone to lair at the moment with the weather that's happening here. Big shout out to George from the Obelix restaurant. Nice to have you as well. Steve Hinkling, Father Christmas. He's Father Christmas this weekend. If you want to go and catch him at Ashdown Farm, go and say hello to him. His grotto blew away last week, but they managed to fix it up there in Stoke-on-Trent. So anyway, nice. And also, thank you for tuning in last night as well, buddy. He was being very, very sensible. He didn't go out last night. He stayed in because he knows he's got to be Santa Claus today, and he's Santa Claus all over the weekend. Bless him. Anyway, good luck, fella. Dave Matthews is also tuning in. Rob Davis is also tuning in as well. Right, that's it from me. Once again, I'll keep my ear to the ground, and just to let you know, still no decision as to whether Jane and I are going to definitely 100% be coming over to the UK. We're just letting this weekend go through. Can I just thank those people yesterday that were getting in touch with us, asking advice about going back to the UK. I'm not going to say any names, but we have been running into quite a lot of people who have been coming us, asking us questions about vaccinations, about going into the UK, about actually leaving the island, because a lot of people now are umming and ahhing as to whether they're going to go or just saying, sod it, we're going, we're coming over, despite everything that's going on, and we're just going to take our chances. So thank you for coming to us and talking to us, asking for our advice, and also giving you information on where to get your PCR tests and and the PDF forms and all the other stuff that goes on, and also getting testing done in the UK as well once you are back. So once again, thank you. I see a few little love hearts going up from certain people, and I think I know who those people are, even though I can't see your comments at the moment. Right, that's it from me. I'm keeping my ear to the ground. If I hear of anything, I'll let you know. Just to remind you, my dance anthem show from last night, it's repeated again on Beach Radio tonight at 9 p.m. UK, which is 11 o'clock Greek time. Again, come and join us. In fact, I've got to be honest, listening back to the show last night, you know what? It's a good show. It's a banger, all right, as they like to call it. Come and listen in if you want. And once again, don't forget that show will then go up online to Mixcloud once the show has been aired on beachradio.co.uk. And don't forget tomorrow, got me Northern Soul show tomorrow as well. But I'll talk about that tomorrow on the podcast. Anyway, you take care. Have a great day. Keep your ear to the ground. If you hear of anything, please let me know. I like to know your opinion as well. And also, if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell. And a big shout out to all those people on the other various platforms that watch this show as through YouTube as well. Anyway, thanks a lot. Catch you later. Ta-ra.